Old woman who doesn't even do household chores, get out.
The words that shouldn't have been said were carelessly uttered by my eldest son and his wife. They will surely regret this. Well, I'm moving out then. The next day, I received a call from my daughter-in-law, which of course I ignored. It's too late now. My name is Emily. I lost my husband when I was 40, and I started working as a medical office worker at a clinic. No mistakes are allowed, working as a clerk at an office in a medical institution. Working in the medical field means taking on heavy responsibility of protecting patients' lives. This is true for nurses and pharmacists, as well as medical office workers. Also, I was desperate to raise my son, Henry. Fortunately, my son graduated high school, got a job at a large company, and met the love of his life at work. I was excited to meet her because my son said, "She's extraordinarily cute." But she wasn't what I imagined. She may have good looks, but she's flashy with blonde hair and has a bad look. Her name is Grace. She's 25 years old. She cusses out my son very often, and she always has an attitude. She bragged about being a former gang member and blabbered on about her juvenile days. Looking at her casually talking about unbelievable things like throwing 5 hooligans into the river, I told my son that I was against their marriage. However, my son was totally smitten and insisted, "If I can't marry her, I'll never get married." My son and his wife, Grace, got married without throwing a wedding, only registering their marriage and started living together. In retrospect, this marriage might have been the beginning of our tragedy. After getting married, my son quit his job and said he was going to open a shop. The news was so unexpected that I was surprised and went to my son's house because it wasn't something to talk about over the phone. "What do you mean, open a shop?"
"I'm just fed up with the rigid hierarchical relationships in the corporate structure."
"Did something unpleasant happen?"
"I had a bit of a quarrel with a female employee."
"You weren't fired for sexual harassment, were you?"
"Do I look like Harvey Weinstein?"
"No." Making jokes while having an important conversation is one of my son's bad habits. Even at 35, he doesn't know when to stop joking around. "What kind of shop do you plan to open?"
"A cafe that serves delicious coffee." "There was a song like that in the past. Or was it about tea?"
"Do you have savings? You'll need about $100,000 to open a shop, right?"
$100,000?
Looking at my son's shocked face, I became anxious. Opening a shop without a plan would fail immediately. Does my son understand how difficult it is to run a restaurant? Why don't you try working in a cafe before having your own shop?
Grace is looking forward to opening a shop.
How about becoming a hired manager?
A hired manager doesn't have much freedom, right? Of course, I'm going to be the owner and master. With my innovative ideas and rare intellect, running a cafe is a piece of cake. They called me Einstein back in high school, you know?
Your classmates were full of liars.
Now I look like Lindsay Lohan to you.
I didn't say that. Just like this, we can't even go on with our conversation. Do you have any savings?
I don't, so I will probably go into debt first.
He's not even crossing a dangerous bridge, but just holding on to burning ropes at this point. What's the theme for your store?
What do you mean?
He hasn't thought of anything. I became more worried. Who's your target? What kind of customers do you want to attract?
Well, I'd prefer young and cute female customers.
We're having a serious conversation here.
I could post, "Only beautiful women allowed," outside the shop. Ha ha ha.
I listened, suppressing my anger. Do you have a unique selling point? Something that no other shop has?
Of course I do. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call this my trump card.
Can you tell me what it is?
Grace will be the waitress. Once that happens, I'm sure we'll have a long line of male customers. If I had to choose a cafe, I'd choose one with a cute waitress, especially since cafes are usually visible from the outside. If they see Grace's lovely figure, we're sure to attract a crowd.
This is hopeless. I can't take him seriously. As I was about to leave, my son held me back.
So there's something I want to discuss.
What is it?
I want us to live together.
Live together? With his wife under the same roof?
Since Grace will be helping with the shop, I want you to take care of the house chores. Cooking, cleaning, laundry. There's a lot, right?
Let Grace do that. I'm a full-time employee. I work full-time.
Even at your age?
The director said that if I wanted, I could work until I'm around 65. Being at the same workplace for a long time builds trust. You should have kept your job instead of losing your temper. My son was silent for a few seconds, then replied with a troubled expression.
I just made a small mistake, but my stupid boss started yelling.
You made a mistake at work.
Not at work, but I asked a slightly plump female employee from another department if she was pregnant. And she glared at me. Turned out she wasn't.
You're kidding.
If you ask a woman who's not pregnant how many weeks she's been pregnant, it's like telling her she's fat.
You idiot! It's not something to laugh about.
More than her, the boss was angry, criticized me as if I was not a human being. So I retaliated, told him I'd quit.
What does he think a job is to quit so easily? So why jump to opening a cafe without looking for another job?
Writing another resume is a hassle.
If you're going to open a shop, you're going to have to write documents that are more tedious than a resume. Then my son waved his index finger from side to side, saying,
No, no, no,
with a condescending attitude. I resisted the urge to slap him in the face.
Writing a resume for a job you don't like and writing documents to realize your dream is completely different.
You're kidding me.
I am being for real.
There's no point in getting heated with someone who's not even serious about their own store. If having your own store is your dream, then I won't hold you back. But I'm not doing any of your house chores.
Come on, I need your help.
You can take care of household chores, even while running a store, can't you?
Actually, I made a promise with Grace. Convincing Grace was tough. She didn't easily say yes. I told her that I'm happy just living with her, and I don't need anything else. Even said she doesn't have to do any household chores.
I was speechless at his audacity, but I couldn't let it slide. So why should I be the one to do the household chores?
Actually, it's not just household chores. I'd like you to help with preparing the shop, too. It's not as much as running a pub, but the prep work seems hard, doesn't it?
If you're including me as a staff member, then I'll have a say in things.
I'd rather you not, though.
I think I need to crush my son's naivete before we open the shop, otherwise it will be a disaster. With that in mind, I asked a basic question. Do you have the stamina to keep running the shop?
I'm confident in my stamina, sorry to say. I do stretch out and lift weights every day without fail.
I'm not talking about your physical stamina. I'm talking about the financial foundation to pay employee salaries and maintain our livelihood, even if we don't have any customers and run at a loss.
I don't have any confidence in those aspects, to be honest.
Seeing my son say that with a smile, all I could do was sigh.
Sighing lets happiness escape.
You're the one making me sigh.
Me? Why?
Oh, shut up. I came in, obviously upset, but there are still a lot of things that need to be discussed. I rambled on quickly. If we're also serving light meals besides coffee, we need more ingredients, and we need equipment, suppliers, interior, signage, and whether to hire staff. The menu can't just be a poorly handwritten one. The location of the shop is even more important. Did you check whether there are any similar coffee shops nearby? If you're going to open a shop, you need to use things like social media and flyers. Devise a PR strategy, and show a meticulous plan. Otherwise, nobody will lend you the startup capital. As I was talking, Grace, who had been silent all this time, interjected. Hey, why do you get to decide? For a moment, I didn't know who she was talking to. Did she mean me? Henry's the one opening the shop, right? Running a restaurant is tough. Shut up, old hag. I couldn't believe my ears. But my son stepped in with a forced smile.
Easy now. Don't get pressed, Mama. Let's continue this conversation tomorrow.
I thought I heard old hag, but I must have misheard. Maybe my hearing is getting worse? I have a medical office job with a monthly income of $2,700, and I get bonuses. I have saved up a lot of money over the years by not splurging. I wouldn't mind supporting my son a little. I want to support him if he's serious about working hard. Indeed, having your own shop is a dream, and it must be rewarding. I started living with my eldest son and his wife on the condition that I would be involved in the shop's management. I didn't live for 60 years for nothing. I leveraged my connections to get a referral to a trustworthy tax accountant, and I persuaded my complaining son and his complaining wife to take the accountant's advice. Thanks to that, we were able to borrow $60,000 for startup capital. We managed to start the shop, but our cafe isn't always packed with customers every day. One night, Grace came out of the bathroom, walked all the way to the kitchen in just a bath towel, and opened the refrigerator. I was stunned and couldn't say anything, but I couldn't stay silent.
Grace!
If you were living alone with my son, I'd understand. But since I'm also living here, that attire is not acceptable. It's because you're here that I'm wrapped in a towel. If you weren't here, I'd be stark naked. There is a phrase, left with one's mouth hanging open, and I was literally frozen with my mouth agape. Can you stop nitpicking? Calm down, I told myself. One morning, my daughter-in-law came to the kitchen yawning in her pajamas and began to eat the breakfast I had prepared without saying a word. The cafe opens at 7 a.m. for breakfast, but it was already 8:30. Grace, you don't seem to be at the cafe lately. Henry said I don't need to go. Some ugly customer tried to exchange numbers with me all of a sudden. I got pissed and refused. He started saying, "What's with that attitude? I'm the customer here." So I told him, "You're 1 million years and 3 days too early to flirt with me with that face." I gave my smug daughter-in-law a stern look. Our customers are gods. The cafe can't run without customers. We don't need customers like that. I splashed water in his face and told him never to come back. You're lying. Before I could open my mouth, my daughter-in-law cut me off. If it were the old me, I wouldn't have hesitated to pour hot coffee over his head. He should be thankful it was only water. This can't go unspoken. I'm her mother-in-law. Grace, you need to find a job, even part-time, and help with the household expenses. Is that an order? She glared at me with terrifying eyes. Does she think she can intimidate me? I mustn't back down. Grace, if you don't want to work, at least do the housework. Shut up, old woman. Nothing pisses me off more than being ordered around.
Who do you think you're talking to?
You. Who the hell do you think I am? I refuse to be lectured by some old woman like you. My fear and anger crossed, and I was trembling. Huh? You're not thinking of slapping me, are you? If you do, I'll punch you in the face. This is it. I have to tell my son about this. When the cafe closed, I told my son. There's something important I need to talk about.
If it's a lecture, I don't want to hear it.
I told my son in detail about my daughter-in-law's unbelievable, abusive language. But my son said something unbelievable.
You nagged Grace again, didn't you?
What do you mean, nagged?
I'll tell you something since you don't seem to realize it. You're always negative.
Negative? Ignoring his wife's rampage, my son had the audacity to tell me off.
When you keep correcting others, they will distance themselves from you, even if you are right.
I'm the one in the wrong?
Even if you think this person is saying something strange, affirm them first. If a person is affirmed from 1 to 10, they'll feel like listening to what that person has to say. That's how you connect with others, Mom.
My son is completely on his wife's side. If I'm lectured by you, my life is over. With that, I left the cafe. The number of customers we have has dropped significantly. A rumor probably spread about my daughter-in-law who abused our customer. I asked my son, who was idly standing at the corner, Henry, do you check the passbook?
I don't check it that much.
You should occasionally update the passbook and keep track of the balance.
We're still fine, right?
It seems he doesn't know that I've been contributing a small amount every month, because he doesn't often look at his passbook. I don't particularly want gratitude or thanks, but he's just never aware of his financial status. This is not good. You can't get by with rough estimates and expectations.
Life always finds a way.
There's no way it will. Absolutely no way.
Why the immediate denial? Let's talk about something fun. It's said that good fortune comes to those who laugh often. Look, I'm an optimist.
I can't bear it. And let it all out. What you have isn't optimism, but mere optimistic sight. Optimism is thinking positively even when faced with adversities, viewing even the negatives in a positive light. It's a capability to turn tragedies into great outcomes by burning a fighting spirit. You can't be an optimist without these. Optimistic sight and optimism are totally different. Despite my earnest words, my son began slapping on the counter.
Tap out, like when a high kick puts someone down. You mount on top of them and throw punches at their face.
Enough. This is about your store.
Shut up. I'm seriously worried here. If you can only spew depressing things, then get lost.
I couldn't believe my ears. I can't stand to watch my son change. Poisoned by that woman. I hate to say it, but...
Then don't say it.
Grace doesn't help me with the shop, doesn't do housework, and verbally abuses me. Is this okay? When I talk to her about it, it causes tension. So you, as her husband, have to say something.
Oh, Grace?
What? As I turned around in surprise, my son burst out laughing.
Got you. You really fell for it.
Is this how he ridicules his parents? I've made up my mind. I won't interfere with his shop anymore, and I won't do any housework. Even if the room is messy and I want to clean up, but I resist and do nothing. In the morning, my daughter-in-law in her pajamas asks me when she sees nothing on the table. Huh, what about breakfast? Why don't you make it? I have to go to work, so see you. Wait. I ignored her and left the house. I finished dinner at a family restaurant near the clinic and got home around 9 o'clock at night. My furious daughter-in-law confronted me. What time do you think it is now? You didn't make dinner. Are you trying to starve me to death? If you're hungry, you should make dinner yourself. You're not a child. Are you picking a fight with me? As I ignore her and head to my room, she grabs my arm. Wait. If you resort to violence, I'll call the police immediately. Perhaps intimidated by my resolute attitude, she lets go of my hand. By the way, you haven't done the cleaning or the laundry. That's why, Grace, you should do it. If you don't do the housework, there's no point in you being here. Are you serious? I think I'm a considerable help. What about you? You don't do housework. Don't help with the shop. Just complain to others. What good are you doing? Badmouth me any more than that, and I'll hit you. Getting injured would hinder my own work. I took refuge in my room. I could hear yelling from the bedroom. Even though I know it's not right, I ended up listening. Because you spoil her. That old woman gets out of line. Every time she sees someone, she starts complaining. Do something. If you can't say anything to your parents, I'll leave.
Stop. That would be a problem. If you leave, I'll lose my reason to live.
If you really think that, then do something.
I got it. I'll do something. So don't say scary things like leaving.
It's pitiful. Did I raise him wrong? I guess I inadvertently spoiled him because we were a single-parent household. I wanted to cry. My son said he had something important to discuss, so I went to the shop after it closed. His wife Grace was there too, looking at me with a somewhat mocking expression. What's the important matter? Do you plan to not do chores anymore at all? I've been telling you that you should do your own housework. Shut up. I told you not to order me around. If you're not going to do housework, then get out. Laughing, my daughter-in-law spat out these harsh words and gestured to my son. When he hesitated, she whispered something in a low voice, but I could hear her. If you don't say that, we're getting a divorce.
The woman who doesn't do any housework should get out.
The woman who doesn't do any housework should get out? My son and his wife had said the lines that should never be spoken. They would surely regret making me genuinely angry. Just to confirm, Henry, are you really okay with me leaving? Get out. Get out. Just get out already. Then I'll move out immediately. Just one thing. What more could you possibly want? Henry, I'm cutting ties with you as your parent. From now on, we're strangers, so it's useless to rely on me. That's what I was about to tell you, idiot. You just keep quiet. I'm talking to my son. When I shouted, my daughter-in-law grabbed my arm. My son hurriedly stepped in between us.
Hey, let's stop the violence. Let go of her. Break, foul, 1, 2, 3.
Shut up. We're not wrestling. This is a street fight. There are no rules here.
Did you forget that I warned you? I'd call the police immediately if you throw your hands on me. My daughter-in-law withdrew her hands but glared at me. I moved out immediately. There was a good apartment near the clinic, so it would be easier to commute from now on, and I wouldn't have to see that woman's face. The next day, I got a call from my daughter-in-law, but of course, I ignored it. Despite the persistent calls, I never answered. I used to transfer $3,000 to my son's account every month, but of course, I haven't since I moved. I can't imagine their business will thrive with such careless management, and now they've lost my support, so their savings will eventually run out. Without the burden of unreasonable support, I'm living a relaxed and peaceful life. A year has passed since then. I got another call from my daughter-in-law, so I answered. Hello?
Is this Mom? I'm glad finally you answered.
She called me Mom in a subdued voice, but I'm not naive enough to be fooled by such a thing.
It's been a while.
What is it?
The shop is in serious trouble. It might close down.
Close down? Did a meteorite strike it down or something? There was a few seconds of silence, but my daughter-in-law continued to speak in a timid voice.
Please help us. We have no customers, and if the shop does close, we won't be able to repay our debts. Actually, some intimidating big guys have been threatening us. They're offering me a job at a place that works late at night. Please help us, Mom.
I don't have a daughter.
I apologize for everything that happened. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
But I replied coldly, I won't forgive you.
What should I do for you to forgive me?
I'll never forgive you. You've done far too much. It's too late.
You're not nice, Mom. You were giving us a huge amount of money. $3,000 every month to help us. Why didn't you tell us about such an important thing?
Grace, you might convince foolish men by pleading in such a sweet voice like that, but I'm not that easy. I'm busy, so I'm ending this call.
Wait, please!
Goodbye. Even after hanging up the phone, they called several times. But of course I ignored them. Realizing, after you've tasted hell, it's too late. 3 days later, when I was about to go home after finishing work, my son and his ex-wife were in the clinic's parking lot. The couple knelt down in apology, but I just walked past.
Wait, please, Mom. We really need your help. You're the only one we can rely on.
Like I said, I have no daughter, no son. Mom, families help each other in times of trouble, don't they? Who are you saying that to?
We've reflected on our actions. Please forgive us.
I brushed off his ex-wife, who was deeply bowing her head with harsh words. Even a monkey can reflect on their actions.
A monkey?
Wait, Grace.
Are you calling us monkeys?
We agreed we wouldn't get angry no matter what was said. They argued among themselves, but I turned my back and walked away. I could hear Emily shouting and my sons crying from behind.
It's all your damn fault!
When I looked back, Emily was attacking my son, but it was none of my business. Later, I heard through the grapevine that their shop had gone bankrupt. His wife left a divorce paper and ran away, and my son fled in the night. It hurts to see such a tragic end. There are many people in the world who try their hardest but still can't make it. I want to support and help such people unconditionally, but I have no intention of helping someone who not only doesn't try, but also makes a fool of others. Now I can focus on my work. Being a medical clerk is rewarding. No one comes to the hospital because they want to.
I want to treat patients with cheerfulness and kindness, to give them hope and energy, even if it's just a little.